keep them in your home or love to see them in theirs, these are the creatures that bring us all together.
Reptiles. We're going to be delving into the experiences of reptile lovers from around the block and around the world. This is the Reptile Talk Podcast.
Boom! What is going on, everybody? This is Jeremy Turchin from Brassman Reptiles.
And I'm Rob, and I'm still creeping it real.
Still?
Yeah.
Have we been doing more than one of these?
Maybe. I mean, sometimes.
Sometimes this is true.
Look,
yes,
man,
if you're watching live, it's double header time. This is number 2.
Double
number
Jeopardy.
2. No, super stoked to be back doing some episodes. Super excited for the doubleheader tonight. Shout out to our sponsor, Black Box Cages.
Yes.
Make sure you go check out some of the stuff that go check out everything that they're doing. But I'm super excited about some of the stuff that they're unleashing now and in the very near future. Some new safety features, some new fail safes, and some new accessories that are going to be available to the public very soon. So I know we're going to be doing an episode talking about their product and new advancements that they're making very soon. But shout out to Black Box Cages. Definitely always excited to have them on board. And bam, got to make sure I get that ticker up. We are rushing from one to the other, so I got to make sure everything's in place here. But super excited for this. We're talking monitors,
Yes.
and Morelia.
Yes.
So I'm here for both of these things.
Yes.
Rob is also here for these things.
I'm also here for these things because I've worked with peach throats at Nerd a little bit, and they were a very interesting species to work with, a little bit flighty, but they still have a brain that is tuned in to what's going on around them, maybe even more tuned in than some of the other things that are going on, which I think leads to them being a little bit more flighty. But Skylar is doing some like incredible stuff with peach throats, and I'm super pumped to talk to him about that. And then also he works with some awesome West Papuan carpet pythons.
Yes.
Dude, he posted one on his story and it was like black, and I'm like, yes.
Did you happen to see, I know you're not on Facebook all that much, but somebody shared some pictures of like a hyper melanistic Brettles python.
I did not see that.
I if I can find the pictures again, I'll tag you in the post so you can check it out, because it was like damn near black, like solid black Brettles python, like really deep dark red head through like the first maybe foot, and then it was just like black, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Yeah, I was intrigued by that. But yeah, everybody likes a good dark carpet python. That's just for sure. So super
saying,
kind of is a cool thing. It's a cool thing. But okay, without further ado, let's get Sky in here. Bam! What's going on, dude?
What is up, everyone? How you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. How are you?
I'm stoked to be here, dude. I'm stoked to talk some Morelia pythons and some peach throats, dude.
Yes. Yes.
I came prepared. I got my Billy Hunt Uwabami Morelia, the superior genus shirt on. So
yes, here for it.
I got the Uwabami vibe with me tonight.
Yes.
I feel like I need to make a 1-of-1 shirt that just says Similia is the superior genus.
Oh yeah. We all need our genus shirt that has that. We can all just walk around the expos with it on.
And then everyone's just looking at us like, who are these assholes?
Right.
Who's so superior about that, huh? Yeah.
There's going to be that one guy that's like, it's actually Chondra python that is the superior genus.
Yeah, man.
Excuse me.
Look, just because you're rich, it doesn't mean that they're better, okay?
Yeah. They're the superior stick cuddlers, man.
Right. I mean, wait, Rob, says the guy that has Bowl and I lumped in his.
Listen now. I don't associate with that. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man,
dude, that
too good,
so
too good,
fucking good, dude. Yes. So Skylar, for the people who are listening to us who may not have heard you on Herpetoculture Network or some of the other podcasts that you've been on, what brought you up to the point where you're at? Like, you can give us the long version, the abridged version, and then I really want to know what was the thing that like hooked you into peach throats, because it's I see a lot of people that are like, oh, Dorianis, and I'm like, don't do that. Just don't do
Yeah.
it.
Don't do
Yep.
And I feel like peach throats are a little bit more underappreciated, but they're really gorgeous. If you take the time to look at how peach throats can look, they are just as beautiful as a lot of the blue tails that you see out there.
You said the key word though, how they can look. A lot of the
Yes.
ones that are out there that people see are crusted.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to
True.
that. We'll get back to that. But I kind of feel like I always like jump through my story because I just hate talking about myself when I get on these podcasts. So I'll kind of give like a abbreviated but some detailed story because I always feel like I jump through that and kind of skip that for everyone. But I definitely had come from like the start. Like as a toddler, I was hooked on bugs, flipping every rock, log, everything, no matter where we were. My grandparents gave me the nickname Bugsy as a little toddler, and that carried on. They still call when I get cards from them as a kid, still to this day for birthdays and Christmas, it's always, happy birthday Bugs or happy birthday Bugsy or whatever. So it's like it's stuck that long. But I was a kid, bugs, lizards, snakes from day one. It just kind of carried on. I was at Steve Irwin, watching him through my whole life. Steve Irwin, Jeff Corwin, the Kraft brothers, all of that, just anything. My mom had me on Nat Geo, everything. So it was like I was hooked from the youngest age. And my mom was into reptiles. She had a couple little Asian water dragons, and we, when I was like 6, I convinced her. We got our first veiled chameleon, and from then on, I was like basically hooked. Fast forward a little bit to my teenage years, kind of fell off. Went on to the dark side of the freaking moon, did that whole thing.
As you do.
As you do, around the wrong crowd. But once we came back from space, I was about 23 years old, I think. One of my girlfriend's best friends had a Jackson chameleon that she had bought from the pet store, and it gave live birth. And she was like, I got these babies everywhere. I don't know what to do with them. And I was like, dude, let me get one of those jelly beans. Like I'm good with chameleon. I'm good. I can raise this thing. Long story short, that little girl, Jax, that's what I named her. Of course, Jackson chameleon, essential name. Got to have it named Jax. But she was the only one that ended up surviving out of all the babies. And then the mom ended up passing. So I kept her for, I think it was like 5 years when she passed. But it was just like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when she finally passed. But it was just because of where I was at and where I had to keep her at. It was just too hot for Jackson's chameleons, and things went south.
5 is still a good age for
yeah, and everyone's like,
honestly.
that's stokeable, and I'm like, no, dude, like that's not good. So that kind of killed the chameleon wave for me. I kind of had a bunch of cams. That started it up for me. So I went deep into the cams, had a couple Jacksons, had a couple Veileds, went deep into that, I got a Panther. And then I was like, I'm just kind of doing stuff just because that was what I did in my childhood. I was like, I want to find something that I'm like stoked on. Cause at this point I'm like listening to NPR and listening to all these podcasts. Everyone's like, if I could restart, if I could go back, I'd find something that I loved. I don't care what the cost of if I'm going to breed it or if I ever make money off it, whatever it is, I just want it because I love it. And I was always like, and I skipped the part. I was a huge dinosaur Jurassic Park kid. My grandpa always bought me all these dinosaur everything. So I was obsessed with raptors, completely obsessed with raptors.
Yes.
So that's where the whole peach throat thing comes in. I was always into like Indicus monitors because they had that real raptor, slender dinosaur look to them. And I did have a mangrove monitor at one point. I was just totally not prepared. I was not ready for it. Things went south quick. And that was like, once that failed, that flipped another switch. I was like, I got to do better. I got to learn more. Went to a deep dive hole, found out about peach throats while I was on that deep dive. And then so I started looking for anything peach throat. Didn't even know about Morph Market or anything at that point. So I'm searching Craigslist and all that stuff. And that's where I found my sub-adult female Blaze from this college kid. He's like, dude, I can't take care of this thing. I'm in college, blah, blah, blah. So I went, got her. The day I got her was the day that the obsession started. I saw her, completely fell in love. Her eyes, her colors. She was in good shape, but she needed a little bit of work. And it's basically just been 3.5 years now, almost 4 years of her teaching me every day about what peach throats are about and how awesome they can be. And if you respect them and give them what they need, they're going to give you back everything that you wanted out of them. It's just, you got to give them that first, and then they'll give you what you want. It's a long, slow road. And I tell people all the time, the inch that you get, just imagine that being a mile, because that's how much you just gained with every inch that you got from that monitor. And people take it with a grain of salt, but I'm like, dude, I get an inch and I celebrate. I'm celebrating for the week after I got that little success out of that monitor. So
yeah, for real. I think that when it comes to some of those more alert in tune species that people think of as flighty, it really does take just a little bit more of that keying into what they're doing, thinking about what they're thinking, and then trying to work within the parameters of that. That's one of the reasons why I love scrubs, is because they're a species just like that, where you really, if you have one that's more standoffish, you can slowly gain that trust and work with them in their mind and see what they're thinking, like almost see what they're thinking about. And one of the other species I think about when it comes to that is like tokay geckos. They're like super smart. They know that they can mess you up if you try and push them. They're very insistent about consent, and
yes,
they will teach you real quick
about
that
consensuality.
Exactly. they're just and I think that kind of tunes into, like, when I hear you talk about that, it makes me think of the peach throats too. It's just that they're really smart, and you can work your way into their life and, like, build this bond with them. It just really takes time. It takes intentionality, and it takes you kind of like, humbling yourself in front of them and not going, oh, well, I'm just going to go in there and grab this monitor, because that's what people used to do. And that's what people do with like Asian water monitors and stuff. And it's like, you cannot do that with peach throats. It just, It will not work.
Nope. And I tell people a lot of time, it's like when they see like the croc monitors, Asian water monitors, the more large size monitors, we had a conversation with Mike Stefani where we were talking about it. It's like those bigger Apex monitors, they're born with something in their brain to where they know in their environment, they're going to be the apex predator of their area. They're not going to have to continuously worry about something coming down to swoop them up and eat them, or if something comes to attack them, they're going to fight it off. They're going to battle. An Indicus monitor, a peach throat monitor, a mangrove monitor, 100% of their life, they are on the food chain. It doesn't matter if they're a full-grown adult or a baby. They have to worry about a bird, a monkey, or whatever's in their terrain coming down to get them, a snake, whatever it is. So you have to treat an adult peach throat or mangrove monitor the same way you would treat a baby, because their mindset is still fight or flight 100% of the time. But you just have to slowly break down the walls and build the threads, as Kevin would say, day after day, just slowly chipping away at them. Yep. Threads of trust. That's what it takes.
Yeah, it's true. And it's definitely takes a lot of patience on the keeper standpoint, because certainly that's going to be frustrating, right? Especially when you look at a species like Salvatore or something like that, where it's like, yes, we're multiple generations in, but it's now like, yeah, I see this, I want it, I have it, it comes out to me, it basically loves me right out of the egg, and it's all great. And then you get something like a peach throat, and you're like, it ran away from me for the 20th time this month. Like,
and when I touched it, it projectile pooped.
Poop all over the room, all over my shirt.
It takes a special keeper to have that amount of dedication to a project, from not just being able to really like that species, but to be able to have those moments of like, okay, I have to focus, I have to see things from the monitor's perspective to be able to get that inch to celebrate as the mile, for sure.
And I think that's like the biggest thing for me is you can't just be, half-assed with them. You have to be 100% in. And like you're saying, you get into that zone, you get into like a Zen zone. And I'm such a high-strung ADHD all over the place person that it's like taking that challenge gives me that tunnel vision, and I'm focusing on everything that's going on with that lizard, and just you can't talk to that thing. It's all body language, and it's all you reading its eyes, reading it with your eyes, and not reacting in a way that's going to scare them, and learning how any movements that they make, how you react to them, they learn that. So it's like you got to just everything is people think of it so simple-mindedly, and that's the hard thing. And then you try to break it down for them, and they're like, you're putting too much into it, but it's so many little fine little details that when you do figure it out and break them down and start to see them and put things together, you're good. Then you'll get the steps that you wanted, and you're going to be like, oh my God, he was actually right. These things are actually happening. My lizard's actually doing these little things. My lizard does notice when I flinch or breathe hard or move the tongs, or like all of that little stuff matters. That's what I try to tell people. It's like you have to be so smooth, fluent, confident, trust your lizard, slow your heart rate, slow your breathing, let them feel 100% confident in you, because if not, then it's fight or flight, and it's never going to not be fight or flight.
Right.
Dude, one of the things that was tough to convey to newer people who were working with monitors is flinching, because like if you flinch, that instantly like clicks something. Even on the monitors that are pretty confident, it can just flip something where they're like, oh no, something's wrong right now, and that
Right.
nerves tick, and then the eyes go wide, and you see them, doing the cautious tongue flicks to maybe try and figure out what's going on. And it takes a minute of, getting inside your own head and going, okay, look, I know that it might do a quick turn towards me, but I need to just stay confident, stay steady, because it's one of two things. It's either you flinch and you go above them, and now you're something that's predatory, or you flinch and now you're below them, and now it's potential of a prey fleeing. And being on the end of a prey bite on a monitor is not fun.
Not fun.
Yeah, a new term to shredded, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Literally.
We saw the picture of Tom Crutchfield's hand. Okay.
Poor Tom.
What hand?
And that was just the nip. Yeah, right.
That
Hand? What hand?
It's tough because, I feel like the monitor keeping podcast is doing really great things to put information out there. But I feel like a lot of the stuff that those guys talk about is kind of in terms of breeding and cycling and care and all that sort of stuff. But being on the other end of like seeing the stuff that you're doing when you're working with your monitors and looking at their brains and thinking about what they're thinking and working with interacting with them is like just a completely like different side of the coin. And just from working with the number of different species that we work with at Nerd, you just key in on these little things between the species, and then things that are completely different. Like Jerry was saying, with some of those, or like you were saying, with some of those larger species, the ones that kind of become apex predators, there is just something different in their head, that they have that confidence, even from a smaller size. As soon as they are out of that like fresh hatched moment, they start to gain confidence. And as long as you continue with that confidence, it just builds and builds and builds, or it can build and build and build. But with some of those smaller species, like we had in some of the, oh my God, I'm totally blanking on it, the ones with the totally black marble eyes, and Ryan McVeigh works with them.
Rudy Coley's roughneck monitors. Spinulosis.
Those ones.
Yeah.
We had some of those, and those ones for me were just like so rewarding to kind of work with and gain some of their trust, because when we got them in, just like take off high, bury themselves, up and down the back of the enclosure, just like terrified. And I had one in particular that when I was spending a lot of time downstairs, we had got in, it was a little on the thinner side, and I just spent a little bit of time every single day going in there, feeding it, just putting the cup in of roaches, and just kind of sitting there and just standing with the door open, just watching it. And the first week it would not eat while I'm there, and then the second week it would start to kind of like peek around the corner after it's done doing its freak out. It would, look, but it really wouldn't come up until I closed the door. And then once I closed the door, maybe take a couple steps back, then it would start to eat. But eventually just time and consistency and moving slow and being confident. I literally got it to the point where I could open up the door, have a pair of tongs with a roach on it, and just put my arm down, and it would come right up onto my arm and eat that roach right off the tongs. And just seeing the shift in the mind, it was still nervous. Like you could still see that it's like looking around, trying to see if there's anything else in the room that's looking at it.
Oh yeah.
But being able to work with those threads and build that confidence with that animal is just like one of the more rewarding lizard experiences that I've had.
It's
just
so rewarding.
It's so cool.
It is 100%.
Oh man. So with the peach throats, what do you find? You just switched up your enclosures. How do you find that they're acclimating to that as far as like brain wise? How do you feel that they're doing with it?
So yeah, I also wanted to say before we even started this whole convo that, I'm nowhere near know what I'm talking about a professional when it comes to all this stuff, because every day is still a test for me and I'm still just trying new stuff to see what works and going with what works best. So, I don't want everyone to think that I'm trying to act like I'm a professional or know what I'm talking about. I just want to say that. But
I would like to echo that. I'm not a professional. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But after talking to, older people in the hobby that have been doing this for longer than me and what's worked for them and different indica species and stuff, that's where I kind of just started hybridizing cages, because, I did start with the PVC and whatever Exoterra I had laying around for these things and doing like 6 inches of substrate and big water dishes and having it all decked out. But the amount of spraying that you have to do for these things, the amount of poop, the amount of waste that they shake around when they eat stuff, I am not kidding you. Having 5 of these monitors and cleaning up their enclosures, plus having all the other stuff I have in my collection, plus having a 10-hour day job, it's literally almost near impossible. Plus I have dogs and quail and everything else going on. So it was like, what system is going to work best for this?
Mm-hmm.
They need to be wet, but they need to be dry. They need to be sprayed multiple times a day. So that's where I was like talking to Mike, used his idea for the tub bottom where it's water on the bottom, but in the water, I leave a bunch of stuff, sticks, plastic lattice, a bunch of greenery. I have stones in there. So it's not just a huge open tub. They still swim around in it, but they can get out of everything. And then I completely lace the whole thing up with wood and stuff. So there's tons for them to climb on, because these monitors are semi-arboreal, semi-aquatic, and they do live near rivers. So their main goal is when they're at a younger age is to dip off and hide from anything that moves around them, because they are 100% about to die from anything. That's their only mindset. And when I had them in the 6 to 8 inch substrate, they're in 2 things: in the water bowl, or when they're not, out doing their thing, basking or eating, they're either in their water bowl or they're underneath the water bowl. And when they're underneath the water bowl in wet substrate or moistened substrate, that's when you can run into a lot of skin issues. I haven't personally had any bumblefoot issues or skin issues, but I've heard a lot of people talk about it. So I've always just been super cautious and scared of it. So once I started to notice that they're burrowing in this wet, moist substrate, I was like, all right, we got to just kind of get a way of getting around that. So we lace everything with the hollow logs. They hide in the hollow logs to sleep. That's where they feel comfortable at. And it gets them out of that, the substrate layer. And you're able to drain everything every day. You can spray the whole enclosure down. You drain the water, put fresh water. It's just a different system, but it's hybridized from what Mike's using is for his water monitors into basically everything that you would have in the peach throats cage, just having the water bottom, but also having stuff in there so they're not just free floating and swimming around. So that's what I do for the young babies, because you're still able to socialize them, but they still have their space and they can still run away and still feel secure no matter what. If they need to duck off, they hit the water. If they want to climb, they can hide in their tubes. So that's the babies. But I'm now trying the grow tents for the mid-size monitors, because it's going to give them that space, but I still want it to be, an open area to where I can either step in or be half in with the monitor to work with it in his environment. and not have to pull him out every time or try to lure him out. And then once he's out, he's running around the room, and then you got to worry about the other monitor in their cage looking at him, freaking out. So it's kind of just like I'm figuring out what works best. So I kind of like the tent idea. So I have another tent coming for my big female. It's a bigger size one because I feel like having the secluded areas where when they are running around the room, they're not seeing the other monitor and freaking out. They kind of just have their own area. So I'll have the tents, and then I'll have the hybridized water bottom tub setups for the babies, because that's what I found to work best for so far. But I'm also talking to anyone and everyone to learn more, because I know what I'm doing is not right. It's just what is working best for me in my room with my lizards. I have good sheds. Their skin is beautiful. They're always sheening. I don't have any bumblefoot issues. I don't have any respiratory issues. So what's working in my room environment and everything is what I share. But, that could not work for everyone. So that's a long rambled on answer for what you just asked.
Yeah, but you know what? That's such an important fact. And I think like Rob and I have touched on this before in previous episodes, like realizing that what works for you is not what's going to work for everybody. So yes, it's fair to say that there's some species undertones that are generally going to be about the same with overall husbandry. But, again, how your room is set up in your house, in your facility, in wherever, and your part of the country is going to vary from somebody else. So you might talk to somebody in California that's working with a species that does it totally different, because Southern California temperatures are very, very stable and consistent. The weather is very, very stable and consistent, versus where you're at, and it's suddenly like, oh, well, hurricane today, sunny tomorrow, and maybe pretty gusty the next day, and I don't know what to expect.
It's going to be 32 in the morning when you wake up, but at lunchtime you're going to want to put on your swimming trunks because it's going to be 92.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So all those things play such a huge difference, and I think again even more so when we're talking about these species where because there's not a lot of people putting in that much time and effort, there's still a lot more variables to those, again, species undertones that we're still figuring out. So you're going through all of these, like, this works, this doesn't, trying to figure out what's best. And not to say that you're out there treading water by yourself, but there's very few people on that island with that species as well, so it's a limited pool. So I mean, I think that's one of the things that really made me interested to hear you talk, was just because, like, your experience with a species that almost nobody's really dove into that way, you're providing this knowledge from experience that is going to be invaluable for not just peach throats, but everything that's related to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's why I try to share everything good, bad, and ugly, because it's like when I got into them, I was, how you are when you dive down a rabbit hole for a species. You're like a crackhead. You're asking anybody. You're up at 1 a.m. on Instagram, messaging someone you've never even met. You're sending them a message longer than you've sent your girlfriend in the past 2 years. So, like, I was that crackhead for like the first year and a half, just going nuts looking for any information I can. And, one guy that I always give credit to, Mike Stefani, Uncle Mike, he's literally been wealth of knowledge for me when he's giving me knowledge and when he's just doing his thing and I'm on the sideline and I can absorb it, because he's the only guy that's, I'm pretty sure, on record to breed peach throats in the United States. So he's basically the go-to guy for the information I've got. And other people that I've asked around with mangroves and stuff, I compare my, keeping methods and everything with that, because obviously mangroves are in the Indicus family. But it's like you're saying, it's such a sparse amount of people working with this group that there is no information to go out and reach out to, and yeah. I love everyone when they tell me, oh, just get on iNet and look. Do you want to look at my screenshots, people? Do you want to
right, exactly.
I'll show you all the information that's on iNet. And guess what? It still left me in the same boat I'm in right now. I'm still hitting up people on Instagram trying to find out this information, because when I take people's word for it, I end up looking stupid, because now I'm getting more people messaging me and seeing pictures from Indonesia about a locality that I bought a year ago that was sold to me as a sarong, and they're posted up as biaks now from a guy in Indonesia. And it's like, well, that looks damn near identical to my sarong, and all the export of this. And it's like, so at this point, I take literally every bit of information with a grain of salt because I don't know the exporter. So I don't know where this damn thing came from. And guess what? Every picture on iNet, they all look different. And some of my monitors look like the pictures on iNet, but guess what? You can only take that information with a grain of salt because you weren't there to take the picture or post it, or you don't know who put it up. So
yep.
And after seeing some of the pictures that are on iNet, a lot of these babies that came in last year, I would 100% not doubt it that they were wild caught babies. And especially now that I got one with a scar on its neck. I'm sure you've seen it, Rob. I know you haven't been following me long, Jeremy, but I have one named Scar because I've always heard the telltale story. Oh, you ever get a monitor in with a scar around its neck or a ring around its neck? You know, that's a damn wild caught animal. The thing was on a freaking noose.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously, where the hell did that thing get a freaking noose scar from? And it's a little baby, and they're posting pictures on iNet with babies the same size that he came in. So you got to take all this information with a grain of salt, man. I need to get over to Papua New Guinea. I need to put boots on the ground, and I need to see all this stuff for myself. That's the only way I'll ever be able to get for sure answers. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I spent a quite a good deal of time looking at scrubs on iNet, and we talk about localities, and what the scrub community is another one where it's like, you know, we talk about sarongs and jaipuras and highlands and this and this and this. And then like Moluccan scrub pythons, and it's like the Maluku island chain is like, I think it's something like 70,000 islands or something, like, so. And one of the only scrubs in the Maluku area that's tagged on iNaturalist is a Halmahera scrub. So, you know, when we got this idea in our mind of like, oh, Halmahera scrub only found on Halmahera, and then you look on iNaturalist and people are finding them all over, or like the Wamena type scrub pythons, which are like a heavily patterned smaller scrub. They're actually very commonly exported out of Jayapura now. And I think that a lot of people in the hobby kind of talk about like, oh, especially with like green tree pythons, like, oh, sarong, biak, Jayapura, and it's just like this amorphous thing that they don't really think about. They're like, oh, it's probably just like different island areas, and like Sarong and Jaipur are on the same island. It's just
the same island,
a different area of, and like, you know, if you look at the curve of the world, it's like right about the same. Which is like, well, I think that a lot of the Sarong and Jaipur, like green tree pythons, look very similar. It's probably just like right along the same kind of latitude. Line, and same thing with the scrub pythons. The Jaipuras the Barnecks tend to look very similar to the Sarongs. And I think that, you know, looking at the iNaturalist posts and looking at distribution maps and getting an idea of what these things look like in the wild can be helpful. But like you said, going there is going to be the only way that you know for 150% that this is what this locality generally looks like. And I just think about like even our native snakes, like the amount of variation even within our own localities of snakes is enough to kind of make you go, oh crap, maybe I don't really know what is going on here.
Right, exactly.
and these snakes are not looking at a border and going, oh, this area over here,
I can't cross that.
I can't cross this.
That's my locality line.
Yeah, that's my locality line. I cannot go over here. This is a 7.5 mile past Sanderson, and that is an 8 mile past Sanderson locale. Okay, so we don't cross. We don't touch.
We don't cross that
there.
block.
Yeah, we don't touch there, regardless of what Alterna people will tell you.
I'm literally just like, that was, as soon as you said it, I was like, my mind's already there at the Alterna.
We go by roads around here, boy.
Yeah.
We go by mile markers around here. But
gosh.
that's just one of the, like, when you were talking about that, I'm relatively new to using iNaturalist. I am not a super, I like posting on Instagram. I like posting on Facebook. I, post on TikTok occasionally, but like I don't really consider myself a super tech savvy person. And like iNaturalist was very foreign to me. And people are like, oh, why don't you use iNaturalist to look at stuff? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. And people are just like, oh, if you just like search a species, you can like see its entire range. And I was like, oh, and like when I first got iNaturalist, I was just looking at like native stuff. I was like, oh, I wonder where people are seeing marbled salamanders around here. I wonder where it's at. And then one day I like, this is like 2-3 weeks, a month after I got iNaturalist, I was like, I wonder if I can look up scrub pythons. And then I was like, boom! Like, right out. I was like, oh my god, I need to look up rhino vipers and fees vipers and
right.
Why is it 3 in the morning and I'm still looking up snakes?
Literally, I'm getting screenshots from Rob at like between 2 and 4 a.m. and it's just like all these iNat.
Yes, it's just distribution maps, and I'm like, dude, what the? Look at this thing. Why is there a Highland scrub python in Sarong? I don't understand.
Yeah. Meanwhile, our entire chat history is just photos of maps with red dots, and I'm like, I should click those at some point. I guess I don't know what's gonna happen.
I'm just sitting there sweating to death, just like, oh my god.
Normal people scroll TikTok. Rob is scrolling the world.
Oh yeah. I do it too much too. But I'm the same way though. I'm not like I haven't been on iNav forever, and I'm not a super tech savvy person at all. But I did the same thing. I was kind of just like looked at the couple species that I liked, and I was like, all right, well, this is dead. This is nothing. And then I was like, wait a minute. You love Varani. Why are you not looking up Varani everything? And then there's only like a handful of it. So then I was like, okay, but people down there probably don't know what that is. So just look up every snake post. So then I'm just hitting the thousands of blue dots, like
scrolling through.
And I seen this thing called a Chilean green racer, and I'm like, oh my god, this is just as cool. So now I'm like, all right, I gotta find these in the hobby, but I don't even think they're in the hobby. So
no,
yeah,
dude, yeah, it's definitely opened my eyes a little bit, because like I was saying, you know, I'm gonna pick on the green tree python people a little bit here, but like when they talk about like a sarong or a biak or a wamina or whatever, I feel like a lot of these people just have this amorphous kind of thing in their mind that like, oh, it's just this one little area. And when you look at scale and actually what's going on, there's so much more to it than that. And then like one of the other things is like people are like, oh, I just look up whatever the temperature is for that area where this snake comes from, and I just want to set my thermostat to that. And I'm like, you know that the snakes are not out like sitting at 90 degrees all day. Like that's not what they want to do. Like if you look at where Borneos and blood pythons come from, it's probably sitting at, 94, 95 degrees. If you put a blood python at 90 degrees, it will be miserable. It will be the most unhappy
It will be
snake.
miserable, and you will be miserable because you're probably going to be missing a finger or two. Man.
Exactly. You're just everyone's going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
And when we think about where these snakes come from, or these reptiles come from, or amphibians or invertebrates or whatever, we have to also think that these animals are also inhabiting microclimates, and they're not always just sitting out in the heat or in where you think that they would be. Because like I think of some of the stuff that I find around here, like the queen snakes. I'll find them on days where it's like 83, 85 degrees out, but they're sitting in a riverbed underneath a rock that is very moist and covered in mud. So they are probably sitting at like, low 70 degree temperature, maybe even colder than that. That's something that I got a temp gun the next time I find them to see what temperature they're actually sitting at. But like, if we were keeping them in the hobby, we'd go, okay, I'm finding them in Central North Carolina. Central North Carolina today is 85 degrees. I'm going to set my thermostat to 85 degrees. And it's like, if you keep that snake at that, it's not going to be happy. It's not going to do well. And that's where we kind of have to read our animals, figure out what they really want, which is why I really admire the things that you're doing, because you're not just going, okay, well, Indonesia, they keep them at this, or, they're kind of similar to this. You are working with your animals and understanding your animals to the point where you're going, okay, this is what works for these younger animals. I'm finding that this is something else that works for my older animals, and they're doing well and they're thriving in my care. This is what's working for me. And sharing that information, because as we grow as a hobby, as we expand and get better at keeping, we can't just rely on, care sheets and, every other thing that was done before us. We also have to be innovative. We also have to look to the next thing to see how we can be better and improve, because I think that's one of the things that a lot of the older guys and older people in the hobby kind of are having a tough time with, the people who are our age and younger, is that we are really looking to, hey, I know that things have kind of been done this one way, but potentially there's also a way where we could do it a different way. And we're not going to tell you that you have to do it this way, but if we do it this way and it works better for us and we get to enjoy our animals a little bit more, for our own, desires, for our own interests, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah. And I think that, being able to look at your animals and especially the higher activity ones like your monitors will inevitably lead you to learning more about them and getting better at keying into the things that they need. And then that will just lead you to better breeding success down the road, if that's the road that you choose to go down,
Yeah. Yeah, that's 100% the goal. But yeah, I agree 100% with what you just said.
Big rant.
Big rant.
You really can't just really say little spurts about this stuff because it's so deep and intense. You can't. There's no care. That's why the care guides don't work. This isn't a bulletin point animal. Yes. This isn't a here's your hot spot. Here's your food for the week. That's why I tell people and I try to express that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm learning every day. Every day that's another thing that keeps me hooked is you're not going in there and it's just, oh, well, here, routine. Oh, he's laying there. But it's something new every day. You're working your monitor. You're trying to exercise it. You're trying to build the bond better every day. So it's just the endless battle. That's what keeps you hooked in. And that's what's got me so driven to keep pushing to do better, because I'm not even looking at what's going on this year or next year. I'm trying to see what's going to happen in 3 or 4 or 5 years with when these things are adults. And, because right now I'm doing with what I can with my space at the house we're in right now. I have a room for my colubrids and I got an outbuilding for the monitors and the Papuans, but we're about to move pretty soon here. And that's when I'm going to actually put up a facility building and I can build these enclosures to the size that I want them for the adults that I've had in my mind, like seeing how big of a water space I need for these things and how the drains are going to work. So now I know that the drains with the piping will work for the babies. I can set up a bigger tub in the adult pen with the same sort of draining, just running out the building or whatever. And I'll be ready for that now, because this is all just trial runs, so that when I do get to there, I'm not still doing trial runs. I can set up my permanent stuff and, that's what everyone goes through, that growing pain, the growing stage of, you're always doing the shuffle. You're always figuring this out, moving this around. I want to be to the point when we moving into that point where it's like, okay, this is what works. We're setting this up this way, this up this way. Here's this section, mid-grade section, baby section. And that's how the whole room is going to be set up, so that when breeding does happen, it's just a nice smooth cycle of boom, 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 boom. You're going to be socialized like this at this age. You're going to be socialized like this at this age, because you'll already be to this stage. And then once you're out of this stage and this big and your confidence is up, you go into the walk-in, and I'm going to walk in with you, and you're going to climb on my back, and I'm going to feed you on my shoulder. I might hop in the water tub with you. I mean, that's the end goal. So, I mean, it just takes time and it takes patience, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Dude, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
All right, we got to talk about some Papuans, man.
Yeah.
We got to talk about some Papuans. I mean, I'm so down talking about the peach throats, but we got to talk about some Papuans. I'm here for some Morelia chat. We need to do that. Shout out to our show sponsor, Black Box Cages, that is here in the chat. What is up, guys? These Morelia, these Papuans.
Oh wait, I got my black boxes right there, guys.
Hey, hell yeah!
There we go.
Is that a Baron eye in there?
Those are all Barons right here. But yeah, he's like, it's feeding night, Dad. You're sitting in here. Why are there not
what are you? Oh, my mouse, you peasant!
It'll come soon. It'll come soon, buddy. Just hold out.
What size black box is that?
So the black one that you can see the corner of, that's a 3 tall, 3 long by the 18-inch deep, and then the white one is the 4 long, 4 tall, 4 deep.
Ooh, that's awesome.
Both great, awesome cages. Couldn't say anything bad about them. Freaking love them.
Heck yeah.
Dude, hell
Heck yeah.
Need more.
I was just telling Jeremy, I
Yeah.
was like, I've got some scrubs that are starting to get some size on them. I kind of need to get some 3-foot cages.
Do it.
Yeah, man.
I like the white, man. The white makes some pop in there too.
My only hesitation with white is keeping it clean. That's the only thing with white. How is it for you? Is it?
My girl doesn't spray or poop on the wall. She poops either in her water dish or in her floor. So it's white. It's the whole thing's white, and it's got the nice bright UVB in there, so it shines and she reflects in there. So the black, if you spray a lot in the black, I do notice. I mean, depending on your water situation, it sometimes leaves like the little water marks like it would in the glass enclosure or whatever. So that's why I kind of like the white, because if you mist in it, it hides that little faint look. But that's me being lazy.
That's fair though. That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh man. So these Papuans, these West Papuans. So I don't own them anymore, but I have had a lengthy love relationship with Papuan carpets. What drew you to those in particular out of all of the other Morelia?
Okay, so always been a huge carpet python lover because of the Steve Irwin. So since I was 3 years old, I was always, carpet pythons are awesome. We've all seen the video of him carpet python catching this, throwing him in the rat building, everything. So I've always had a founding love for carpets and the way they look and them being arboreal. And when I started listening to NPR and really diving into pythons and realizing that, like, I want to get a carpet python, which kind do I want to get? And I started learning more about the morphs and everyone's lines and everything. And I, just like everyone else, and well, not everyone else, because some people don't care, but I like to be in my own lane with things. I don't like to be like following in someone's footsteps or just being like picking up their slack and being like, oh, look what Jimmy did. Yeah, I'm doing it too. So I wanted to get something that you could be yours. So obviously West Papuans is the only thing that we can get a farm bred or wild cane animal still. And so their bloodlines are continuously being refreshed in our collections in the United States. So those seemed like something I wanted to get into. The more people I talked to about him, more I looked into him. I got in touch with Nick Mutton, the Morelia God. Talked to him for 5 days on the phone.
That's a conservative estimate.
And he sent me my first trio of Papuans, 2 females that were 66% granite and 50% het exanthic, and then he sent me an awesome looking male from his reduced pattern line. And when I got those things in, I had them for like 2 weeks, and I was already back on Morph Market looking for more. Like a guy had just put up a farm hatch pair that were sub-adults, grabbed those, started grabbing more. But I was trying to make sure I was diversifying everything, and I was getting stuff with legitimate backgrounds or was like legitimate farm bred. I wasn't going to just be buying mutts, because I've had already been listening to NPR for a year or two about, oh, mutt this, mutt that. And I was like, I do not want to be in that party. I want my stuff to be legit. I want to be able to say, this is where it came from. This is its grandparents. If not, it came from the wild. So that was my main goal when I started building the Papuan collection. But what drew me to them is just their colors, to me, are better than a lot of the other carpets. I don't mean to hate on the other carpets, because I love all of them, but it's like, you have the Halloween orange and black and white highlights, but you can also have yellow and gray and cream colors. And the range is kind of just all over the place for the pattern. You can get these awesome chains, bands, stripes, a mix of the 3. I mean, I feel like it's endless. And so once I saw the potential for all that, and once I started building my group of them and realizing like how many different looks I had and how many different lineages and how deep some of them went, like right now I have like, it almost seems like endless amount of pairing possibilities with what I have, just because, you can do the spider web effect and throw this to that and that to this and this to that. now I got the first F1 babies that are going to be hatching in 20-25 days. So that's just going to be some new blood to add in. So it's just like, it's finally the tiny snowball is starting to roll and it's starting to build some momentum. So it's really just a growing progress, but it's just imagine a Papuan web that you could connect and intermingle for the next like 20 something years. Cause that's basically what I got going on right now.
Hell yes, I love it. Because West Papuans have always been my favorites back to when they were IJs.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember because I've never been like really big on carpet pythons. Like I was like, oh, those are kind of cool, I guess, but they never like really did something for me. Like the heads are kind of cool, but like when I saw like Yasser, some of the Spitfire West Papuans that just had that like orange, like burnt orangey kind of tan, and then the contrast with the black on top, I was like, geez, man, that makes me feel something, you know? And I was like,
exactly.
those are just really stinking cool. And I was like, okay, if there's a carpet python that I'm gonna get, it's got to be one of those. And then, you know, doing a little bit more research, and people are like, oh yeah, jungle carpet pythons will just bite the ever living crap out of you until they hit like 3 or 4 feet long, and then sometimes they grow out of it. And I was like, what? And then people are like, oh yeah, but West Papuans are just super mellow, you know, they're pretty chill, they don't get quite as big as the jungles and definitely not as big as the coastals. So like I was like, why do people keep the other ones? Why would they not keep the IJs? They're the best. They're the best at everything.
I feel attacked, Rob.
Yeah. I'm in the boat with you there, Rob. I wonder the same thing all the time. I'm like, they're smaller, so they're easier to provide an awesome enclosure for.
Yep.
Their colors are in a crazy spectrum, so you don't even need the morphs or anything, even though there is a couple morphs associated with the Papuans. You don't even need the morphs because each one of them is so vastly different than the next that it might as well be a morph from that one. So you got that aspect of it. And then they're chill. They're a freaking hippie python, man. The one python that I had, the one Papuan that I have that strikes at me is the freshest wild caught from DM Exotics. That's only been in my care for a couple months now. And it's not even crazy, but she's flighty. She's just like, she tests you out. She'll throw one strike out and see what you're going to do. And then after that, it's like, oh, you're picking me up. All right, cool. We're all good. But it's like, other than her, all of them are the most chill snakes ever. My female, pulling her off of eggs, I was so scared. I was nervous. She was immaculate. The whole process of helping her massage that egg out, immaculate. Never striked one time. Never did anything one time. No defense. It's like they don't have a defensive bone in their body. It's crazy. Especially at least the ones that have been bred in captivity, and if you've had them long enough, once they've been brought in, they're so chill.
I have heard that the Axanthics and the Hets are not always as good.
That's the exception. The Axanthics, I lied. The Axanthics are the exception.
I have heard stories. I have not personally experienced it, but I have heard a lot of stories.
Yeah. My head's edgy, but she still doesn't bite, but she's always edgy. She's always just like looking around as if she needs to bite or what's going on. Do I need to tag you right now?
Right. She's
funny. Like, I'm in control. Do I need to remind you that I'm in control?
Right. I do have to say, when I was breeding IJs, I don't think I ever had a touchy moment pulling a female off of eggs ever. They were always just like, oh, okay, you're gonna take those. Could you not? All right, fine.
Yeah. All right. Throw me in the hot tub. Give me a rat.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Make sure you use the chlorhexidine on the spot I laid those eggs at, so I don't smell them anymore.
Yeah. I don't want to be going crazy all night.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome, man. They really are. I certainly appreciate the fact that we can get new bloodlines of them in all the time, which is certainly great. But yeah, exactly as you were saying, like the natural variation of them is, I mean, it's second to none, really. You know, Yeah, I do miss that element. There's been a few that have seen that have caught my eyes where I'm like, oh, I like that.
That's a good one.
I've kept these before.
Yeah.
It's
I've
not a
been in
new
there.
endeavor.
I've been there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Oh man, no, there's such cool snakes, man. I think carpets in general definitely get the short end of the stick a lot of times because they're everybody thinks about the jungle attitude. So I think even the West Papuans get kind of lumped into that because people just see carpet python and they're like, oh, it's a little bitey tree twig thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice to be able to have a snake, especially one with a little bit of size that you can like just hand to somebody and they're like, oh, this is a carpet python, and I'm not getting lit up. Like, wow, okay, that's not that bad. Okay, it's not that bad.
And that's what I love about it too, is like, just like you're saying, I'll have friends come over that are like not huge snake people, but they'll deal with my obsession when they come over. They'll let me talk their ear off and show them stuff, and
Yeah.
I'll bring out like one of my big impressive male Papuans and just throw it on their shoulder, and they're like, oh my god. I'm like, dude,
It's
you're
fine,
looking
man.
good with that thing on you. Man. Like, you should get one.
Right. I
Yeah.
just so
6.
happen to have these babies about to hatch.
Yeah, about that. You
Yeah.
put your name on a list.
Right. I'll write your name on that egg right now,
Yeah,
man.
we'll put your name on the egg. That's what we'll do. Yeah.
Piebald hatches out. You're like, your name was on the next
Yeah,
egg.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Take that one out of it. We're gonna Jay Brewer it out of its shell. We're gonna take that one. I had
Yes.
the window
Yes.
was open.
just
That's
loop right.
While I'm back on the phone with Nick for another 5 days talking about how many more of these things that I need.
Literally.
To be fair, I love Nick. I haven't had a phone call with Nick in a long time. I recently tagged him in a couple of things on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, this will be like a couple sentences or whatever. But I remember one of the last times I talked to him on the phone, I had like just started working at Nerd, and he called me, and I was like, do I have an hour? Like, because
Yeah.
minimum is an
Minimum
hour.
an
I'm
hour.
like, do I have the hour? So I had said to Rob, I was like, man, I'd love to get Nick on the show, and we're both like, but it's only an hour show.
Yeah. Do the double header, but keep him in for the double
Yeah,
header.
it's just Nick. Yeah.
Back from the sandwich bathroom break. All right, Nick's back in.
He's still talking. He's still talking.
still going.
on.
It's perfect. Yeah. It's like, we're going to take a break, but Nick's going to keep talking for the rest of
my
this.
God. We'll tell you about the
Shout
next
out to
book.
you, Nick.
Yeah.
Because man, I mean, that man is a wealth of freaking knowledge, and I mean that's putting it lightly. I mean, if anybody's checked out the newest iteration of the more complete carpet python, go check that out, because I mean those books are just so they're jam packed with information, and if you really want to start learning about Morelia, like that's a book you need on your bookshelf for sure.
100%. 100%.
We love you, Nick.
Yeah. The Morelia father.
Nobody's got family trees like Nick does.
Nope.
I used to get irritated, because a lot of especially like my West Papuan stuff back in the day, like I had like the Anthony Caponetto GQ line stuff from like back then, like that was what I was working with, and I would get people that would ask me for like lineage, like more lineage information, and I'm like, if you want a family tree, you go to that guy. You go see Nick. I can't give you that.
They're like, that's the reason I'm asking you for more. He gave me this much. You're only giving me this much.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm sorry. We're not that obsessive about it.
Yeah. That's honestly though, I kind of geek out on that. I think that's so cool to have. Like, I mean, everyone geeks out on the story. That's the whole thing, is like,
right.
Oh, it's got a backstory. Oh, well, how deep's the backstory? You go, well, guess what? Back in 1999.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, no, okay. It's so true. I mean, I love it, man. There were times, especially when I was first like really getting into Morelia, like I would just scour Nick's site, but to go through all of that lineage and be like, oh wow, that's a picture of the first animals that came into the US in like 98 or whatever. Like that is some really cool history and lineage information that we don't really get on really anything else. So as obsessive as it seems, it's also really cool because nobody else has done it. Like Nick has really like founded that, and because he's been so meticulous, we know so much about his stock and where stuff is coming from and how far back the history of Morelia actually goes in the US.
It's freaking awesome. I can't lie. I've done the same thing. I've geeked out on my lunch break, just literally looking at I'm like, all right, well, I don't have money to buy another snake. Well, let's just go look at some lineage charts and see how cool this is. Like,
let me be able to tell somebody else a story about a carpet python from 2001.
Exactly. It's so cool, man. So cool.
Oh gosh. No, I love it, man. Is there a project with the West Papuans that you're like really like zeroed in on and focused on, or are you just kind of like, I just want to make more cool carpets?
I mean, honestly, I don't want to give away all the lanes I'm about to dive down with these things, but like you're saying, you had like GQ stuff. Like I got a couple like descended GQ stuff. I got some M-Pen stuff, some Will Leary stuff. Like I got some BPI. I'm trying to look some Hannibal descendant stuff. Like I've got to I've gone to I feel like I've gone to the edge of the earth on some of these snakes to get to them. And I know I have paid more than way more people that I know would pay for any of these snakes. And because I know that for a fact, because I've told people and they're like, you paid what for that thing? And I'm like, bro, did you see the lineage? Did you see the snake?
I'm serious.
I got this family tree. Look at this.
Which I'm sure people aren't going to like that when they see some of the prices of these awesome Papuans I come out with in a couple of years. But man, dude, I paid some big bucks for a lot of these snakes, and I mean, I got it written down. Some people gave me receipts, so I will show some proof if people really want to try me. But as sad as I am to flex my stupidness on spending a high dollar amount of money on
I got the receipts.
I got receipts for this. But dude, honestly, I'm going for like, I really love the like broken chain stripe down the back to where it has like the supple breakaway going all the way down like top of dorsal or like the top of the sides, bottom of the dorsal, but then still having like some ocelots and some banding on the lower end of the sides. And I have a couple snakes with that look, so I really just want to like hone that look in and then hone in different colors like light yellow and gray, and then black and orange with super white banding. And like the list I could tell you for looks I'm going for literally will go on for 2 days with the stuff I have. That's why I said it's like I could make a web and write down, look, this is for this color look, and this is for this pattern look, and this is when I cross those. But then guess what? I'm going to be also doing this with these 30 other lines over here. Like people think that there's just like orange and black or yellow and gray. Like,
no, there's a lot.
I'm going to go way deeper than that. I promise you.
So what I'm hearing is you're going to change your name to Nick Mutton. And the next time we have you on the podcast, I'll have to get like a Nick Mutton deep fake AI face to put over you.
Yeah, I'll just come on with my Darth Vader mask on.
Perfect. Nobody will know the difference.
Yeah, they won't know.
That's awesome. Heck yeah, man. No, I love that, man. There really are so many different looks to the West Papuans, so it's hard to pick, and that's why I love asking people like, what are you going for? Because there are so many options in comparison to most of the other Morelia. Yeah,
I mean, once I started getting them and seeing the variety and the potential, it's like this is just the starting example of this look on every spectrum of each of these snakes. Wait until it's delved deeper and 2 generations focused at that look, mixed in with a certain color if it pops up. Like purple lavender is one that I'm going to be going for that I know. I think Rob's seen a couple of snakes of the super black. I got like every time I show this people this black Papuan I got, they're just like, dude, what the hell is that? I'm just like, freaking farm hatch Papuan crossed to a Boa Cabana Papuan, bro. Like that's what I'm saying. You don't know what's going to pop out, and then you could just continue to focus in on that one look. So I see it being endless. It's just like the focus or the fight to gain and learn more every day with the peach throats is the same love and hunger I have for how deep I can go and how wide of a variety I can go with looks with the Papuans. So it's like I see 2 endless battles. So it's like that's what I'm going for. And then I have the Baron. I know we're not talking about those, but my 3 main things I are focused on is peach throats, Papuans, and then the Baron eye. So
Hell yeah, dude.
And I plan on going really deep and very vast and wide with all three of them. So
just wait till we get this new building set up.
Yeah.
right, exactly.
all in time and money.
Right.
Yeah.
That part.
Yeah, that part. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit up my
I mean-
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Profile description. I'm just a humble snake lover. It's not what you think. I actually keep reptiles.
I'll just have like my snakes curled around my feet. I'm like, this is all you're getting.
This is it.
Content.
This is all I got for you. We're just
Yeah.
gonna swap. We're gonna swap the snakes out, but it's gonna be the same picture. I'm just photoshopping 50 snakes over.
You ready to see my trouser Morelia?
Oh no! I came here for ball pythons.
Yeah.
You're like, guess what? It's a carpet python
Yeah.
summer.
Oh God!
Gosh.
It has
This is
officially
amazing.
turned south.
Yes.
Oh God, that's
Bruh.
amazing.
Too good.
Oh man.
We just about hit our 1 hour mark.
Oh yes.
This literally just flew right by. Also, dude, it's
did.
been a blast chatting with you this evening. I feel
Heck
like we
yeah,
still
man.
have a bunch of stuff we could have talked about, but we do have one question that we hit everyone with as we're winding down the episode, and that question is, what in the realm of reptiles, whether it be something that you see online or something that you're working with or one of your friends is working with, what in the realm of reptiles has got you excited about reptiles right now?
So, other than the stuff that we just talked about with the various projects going on, which keeps me driven and excited every day, the things that I look forward to is like big dream excitement that keeps me pushing for harder and harder would be to just get the awesome setups and facility and space to where I could do something like Brian Waterloo is doing with the Monitor Fest, and how people do the Carpet Python Fest, Morelia Fest, and everything. I really like to just one day be able to do that and just share what I've been able to build and create and learn over the years that I'm going to be doing this. And just like I said, I just want to be able to be a hub for people to be like, we need information on this species or something, we can go to this guy and he can show us all these examples and what he's failed with and what's going to work best. So that would be like my biggest excitement and goal, really, would just be to make it to that point eventually.
Heck yeah,
Hell
man.
to the yeah.
I'm all about it.
Me too. I listened to the Herpetoculture Network's episode recently about if we were going to make a zoo, and my mind was just going, "Oh my god!" I just
Yeah, seriously, man. They're like, and every time, Phil, you have $1 billion.
yes,
One man,
Yeah.
$1 billion,
Yeah.
one building.
Yeah. How many
snakes? Yeah.
Seriously.
I see you
Yeah.
in a room with a lot of snakes.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
snakes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot.
The most dramatic one man,
Yeah.
one building, $1 billion. And are those snakes?
Yeah, what are all these snakes doing here?
Yeah.
Where'd the
Guys,
money
this isn't
go?
funny. Guys.
Where's all the money?
Like, you see those spider tail vipers over there?
Oh my God, do not get me going, dude.
Man.
The one viper I would smuggle, kill people for.
Yes.
Oh gosh. Heck yeah, man. Oh
Dude,
gosh.
fuck
Okay,
yeah.
so Skylar, if people want to find out more about what you're doing, where can they go to find you?
So I'm only on Instagram, really. So if you want, just hit me up on Hail the Scales or Hail_the Scales on Instagram. I'm totally a greenie and I rarely have time to upload videos, but I do have some boring content that you can view on YouTube. I mean, that's with my lizards and snakes. It's mainly just me being stupid in front of the camera. So if you're having a bad day, you could at least go laugh at me and see some of the stuff I'm messing with. But other than that, just hit me up on Instagram and I'll get back to you on that, because that's really all I mess around with and share stuff on. But yeah, man.
Dude, hell yeah.
Heck
Thank you so
yeah.
much for coming on tonight. This was an awesome conversation. I love it.
Hell yeah.
I love when we get to talk about deeper things. It's fun.
Yes. No, yeah, I'm so stoked when you hit me up saying to come on the pod, man. I was like, duh, come on. Talk to you guys. So thank you again, really, for letting me come on and just ramble as I always do about lizards and snakes. So appreciate you guys big time, man. Can't wait to see you guys in Daytona. I know.
Yeah.
I was like, I got 2 awkward memories from Daytona from these guys from last year. I'm like, Jeremy saw me drunk at the pavilion just talking out of my ass. And I'm like, Rob was like walking through the freaking main aisle, and I'm just in the food court. I'm like, hey, bro, I love you, bro. He's like such a good guy. He plays longer than he comes up and gives me a hug. And my wife's like, who's that? I'm like, oh, it's Rob's keeping it real. He totally doesn't even know me at all. I just follow him on Instagram and like all this shit. And we talk about Papuans here and there. She's like, why are you so weird? I'm like, I fucking can't control it.
We're all weird,
man.
damn it.
And to be fair, with the exception of Rob, most people are pretty drunk at the pavilion after the show. So
yeah. I'm like, all right, we're gonna keep it leveled at. We're gonna keep it somewhat leveled out this year.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah, that's why I'm shaking my head. No.
Dude, me and Matt Bowers are sitting there drinking water, and everybody else is really drunk, and then me and Matt are like, hey, you want to go jump in the ocean right now?
Yeah, the 2 sober guys have the dumbest idea ever.
Let's go in the New Smyrna Daytona Ocean, where there's the highest recorded shark bites and sightings in Florida. Let's go swim at night.
Yeah, way to go, sobriety.
Just goes to show you it's not the drugs.
Literally, though.
No, that was so epic.
Yes,
that was so freaking epic.
I know there's a different timeline where now every year at Daytona they have a memorial for Matt Bowers and Rob Christian, who died via shark bite on Saturday night.
Everyone's got their megalodon tooth necklace with the
Yes.
on it.
Yeah, and it's not even gonna been from a cool shark. It's gonna be like a bamboo shark. It's gonna be a freshwater bamboo shark just got accidentally released, and the only thing it could do before it died in salt water was murk Rob and Matt Bowers.
Bruh, it was just a big cluster of bonnet heads. They're all this big, and they're like,
like what in Jurassic Park, the little dinosaur, those
Compsognathus, yes.
The Nerf sharks, they Started a whirlpool around and they couldn't get out.
And we drowned, yeah. It was an undertow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. This is great.
And tonight's episode was brought to you by Black Box Cages.
Yes. And spinning Nerf sharks. That's
Nerf sharks, yes. And death by Nerf shark. I did not have that on my bingo card, but it happened.
It happens.
Oh gosh. Well, dude, thank you so much again for jumping on with us and hanging with us. This was definitely a blast.
Yeah, thank you guys. This was awesome, man. Appreciate it again. Thank you.
Man. Can't wait to hit you up when you've got some peach throat eggs and the next iteration is beginning.
Dude, that will happen. Yeah, everyone will know when that happens. I'll be like crying on a live. There's a dinosaur coming out of an egg. So, yeah, you guys will all know about that.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Much love.
Yeah.
Hope you have a nice night, man.
You guys too, man. Appreciate it.
Heck yeah. Take care, man.
Later.